What if the person you overlook every day holds the key to saving everything you've worked for? What if that invisible worker cleaning your office at night actually sees more truth in one shift than you see in an entire quarter? Tonight, I'm going to reveal a true story that will shatter everything you think you know about power, privilege, and who really holds the wisdom in this world. This isn't just another holiday tale. This is a raw, emotional account of how one night cleaner's impossible courage exposed a multi-million-dollar family secret and gave an entire company the one thing money can't buy: redemption. You'll discover how a single anonymous gift of truth created a second chance for hundreds of families facing financial struggle. And you'll learn the shocking moment when a powerful CEO had to choose between his empire and his humanity, all because one woman decided that hope was worth risking everything for. If you've ever felt unseen, underestimated, or wondered if your small acts of kindness even matter, get ready. This story will hit you right in the chest and leave you believing that the real heroes don't wear suits. They carry mops and have hearts of gold. You know, there are heroes walking among us who never wear capes. They move through the shadows while the world sleeps. And their stories, well, their stories could change everything if we only stop to listen. Take Sarah, for instance, a woman who battled relentless financial struggle while working as the night cleaner in one of those glittering downtown skyscrapers. Every evening, she'd walk through those polished lobbies, invisible to the executives rushing past, holding on to a quiet hope that one day, her sacrifice would mean something more. She'd wipe desks and empty trash bins, all while carrying a quiet loneliness that comes from feeling unseen in a crowded world. But let me tell you something about people like Sarah. Their dignity isn't in their job title. It's in their unwavering will to keep going, no matter what. Now, I want you to think about the invisible people in your own life. The delivery driver, the security guard, the person who cleans your office. Have you ever wondered about their stories? What if I told you that showing a simple act of kindness, like remembering their name or offering a warm coffee, could be the unexpected help that turns their entire day around? It costs you nothing, but for them, it's a reminder that they matter. Try it this week. Ask one person how they're doing, and mean it. You'll be amazed at the doors that open when you choose to see people, not just roles. Sarah's nightly routine was a meditation in perseverance. She'd move from office to office, each one telling a silent story of power and pressure. But one night, as she entered the CEO's corner office, something felt different. The air was heavier, the silence more profound. And there, tucked halfway under a marble paperweight, was a single, elegantly written envelope. No name, no address, just waiting. It was as if the universe had placed it there just for her, a quiet secret whispering from the shadows. Her hands trembled slightly. This wasn't part of her routine, and something deep within told her that picking it up would change everything. Curiosity, as they say, has a way of leading us where we need to go. Sarah picked up the letter, her heart pounding like a distant drum. She knew she shouldn't. Every rule in the book told her to leave it be. But sometimes, the most powerful storytelling begins with a single moment of courage, a decision to step into the unknown. As her fingers traced the edges of the envelope, she had no idea that this simple act would soon unravel a family secret buried for decades, setting into motion a chain of events that would redefine the meaning of second chance for everyone involved. The night was about to get a lot longer, and her quiet world was about to be turned upside down. Now, let's talk about that moment. The one where your entire world hangs in the balance between doing what's easy and what's right. Sarah stood there in the CEO's office, that unopened letter feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds in her hands. Her mind raced with every possible scenario. Was this some kind of test? A trap? Or maybe, just maybe, it was someone's cry for help disguised as ordinary paperwork. The financial struggle she faced daily made the temptation to ignore it overwhelming. She couldn't afford to lose this job. But there's this thing about hope. It whispers even when fear is shouting, reminding us that some risks are worth taking for the sake of our dignity. You've faced these moments too, haven't you? That split second where you have to choose between protecting yourself or helping someone else. Maybe it was finding a lost wallet or overhearing a conversation you weren't supposed to hear. What I've learned is this. The universe has a funny way of placing us exactly where we need to be, even when we don't know it. Next time you're in that position, ask yourself, if not me, Then who? Sometimes being someone's unexpected help starts with having the courage to care when it would be easier to look away. Sarah finally slipped the letter into her cleaning cart, her hands shaking not from fear, but from the gravity of what she might uncover. As she went back to polishing desks and emptying trash bins, that envelope seemed to pulse with silent energy from the bottom of her cart. Every time she passed a window and saw the Christmas lights twinkling in the city below, she felt this strange sense of purpose, like she'd been chosen for something far bigger than just cleaning offices. The loneliness she usually felt during these late nights was replaced by a nervous anticipation, a sense that her quiet sacrifice was about to take on new meaning. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that in another part of the city, a family was falling apart. While she was pushing her cart through silent hallways, a mother was crying over unpaid bills, and a father was staring at a Christmas tree he couldn't afford to put presents under. Their story was about to collide with Sarah's in the most extraordinary way, all because of what was written on that single piece of paper. The family secret hidden in that letter wasn't just words. It was a lifeline, a potential second chance waiting for the right person to bring it into the light. And as Sarah's shift finally ended, she made a decision that would change not just her life, but countless others. You see, courage isn't about the absence of fear, it's about what you do despite it. When Sarah finally opened that letter in her tiny apartment, her hands trembling against the crisp paper, she uncovered a truth that would test everything she believed about people and power. The letter revealed a family secret so profound, so deeply buried in corporate lies, that it took her breath away. Here was a man who appeared to have everything: wealth, power, respect, yet was trapped in a web of his own making, facing a moral crisis that threatened to destroy not just his company, but every single family who depended on it. The financial struggle she saw in her own community suddenly had a face, and it wasn't what she expected. Now, I want you to think about a time when you discovered something that made you question everything. Maybe you learned a secret about your workplace, or found out someone you admired wasn't who they appeared to be. What did you do with that knowledge? The easy path is always to look away, to protect yourself. But the courageous path, the one that leads to real change, requires what I call compassionate action. It's not about confrontation. It's about seeking understanding first. Try this. Before making judgments, ask, what pain must this person be carrying to act this way? You'll be amazed how this shifts your perspective. Sarah sat there for hours, reading and rereading the words that could either ruin lives or save them. The CEO wasn't the villain she'd imagined. He was a man caught between impossible choices, trying to protect his employees while facing pressures she could barely comprehend. This wasn't just about business. This was about community, about thousands of families whose Christmas, whose entire lives, hung in the balance. Her initial anger melted into something more complex: understanding. And with that understanding came a determination to be the unexpected help this situation desperately needed. What happened next would become the stuff of office legends, though few would ever know the true story. Sarah didn't storm into the CEO's office demanding justice. Instead, she did something far more powerful. She wrote her own letter. Not an accusation, not a threat, but an offering of hope from one human being to another. She spoke of the families she knew were struggling, of the quiet despair she saw in the eyes of her coworkers, of the lost and found moments of human connection that make all the sacrifice worthwhile. She placed both letters, the one she found and the one she wrote, back on that polished desk, then went home to wait, wondering if her act of kindness would be met with understanding or retaliation. You know, we often think that powerful people live in a different world than the rest of us, but the truth is, we all breathe the same air and bleed the same color. When the CEO, Mr. Harrison, found those two letters on his desk the next morning, something extraordinary happened. The carefully constructed walls around his heart began to crumble. Reading Sarah's words, seeing his own secret fears reflected back through her eyes, he experienced what can only be called a moment of grace. Here was a woman who had every reason to be angry, to threaten exposure, yet she chose forgiveness and understanding. Her letter wasn't a weapon. It was an invitation to remember his own humanity, his own dignity as a leader who had lost his way. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you gave someone the gift of believing in their better nature? We're so quick to assume the worst in people, especially those in positions of power. But what if we tried a different approach? The next time you're frustrated with someone who seems to have all the advantages, try writing them a letter you never sent. Pour out your feelings, but then write from their perspective too. This simple exercise in empathy can be powerful, unexpected help for your own heart, opening doors to reconciliation you never thought possible. Sometimes the bridges we build in our minds become real in the most amazing ways. Mr. Harrison did something that day that would have shocked his board of directors. He went looking for Sarah. Not to fire her, not to threaten her, but to thank her. He found her in the break room, clutching her coffee like it was the only warm thing in her world. And when their eyes met, something unspoken passed between them. A recognition that they were both just people trying to do their best in a complicated world. The loneliness of leadership met the loneliness of invisibility. And in that meeting, something new was born. It was the beginning of the most unlikely partnership. One that would transform not just their lives, but an entire community. What happened next proved that one act of kindness really can create ripples that touch countless lives. Mr. Harrison didn't just give Sarah a raise or a promotion. He invited her to help him redesign the company's entire approach to its workforce. Together, they created programs that addressed the real financial struggle facing employees, from emergency funds to childcare support. But the most beautiful part? Sarah's second chance became everyone's second chance. The Christmas that everyone thought would be the worst they'd ever known turned into the beginning of a new era, one where people were seen, heard, and valued in ways they'd never imagined possible. And the best was yet to come. You see, when one person finds the courage to act with compassion, it creates a current that can lift entire communities. What Sarah and Mr. Harrison discovered in those following weeks was nothing short of miraculous. The financial struggle that had felt like an individual burden became a shared responsibility. Employees who had been silently drowning in debt began coming forward, not with shame, but with hope. The community they built became a safety net stronger than anyone could have imagined, proving that unexpected help often appears when we're brave enough to be vulnerable with each other. It was as if Sarah's single act of kindness had unlocked a floodgate of human goodness that had been waiting for permission to emerge. Now, I want you to consider this. What would happen if you became the catalyst for this kind of change in your own circle? You don't need to be a CEO or have all the answers. Start with what I call micro moments of connection. Next time you're in a meeting, notice who hasn't spoken and intentionally ask for their perspective. When a coworker seems stressed, offer to take one small task off their plate. These tiny acts create what I like to call emotional compound interest. They build up slowly at first, but eventually create wealth in human connection that pays dividends far beyond anything money can buy. That's how you turn loneliness into belonging. The transformation at the company became the stuff of local legends. But the real magic was happening in the quiet moments nobody saw. The single mother in accounting who could finally afford her daughter's asthma medication. The maintenance worker whose family secret of medical debt was finally lifted. The young intern who received an anonymous gift of tuition assistance that changed the trajectory of her entire life. Each story became a thread in a beautiful tapestry of hope and reconciliation, proving that dignity isn't about how much you have, but about how much you're seen and valued by others. As Christmas approached, something remarkable happened. The usual office party transformed into something much more meaningful. Instead of the lavish, impersonal events of years past, employees organized a gift of time, exchange where people offered skills and services to each other. The accountant offered free tax help. The mechanic changed oil for single parents. The teacher tutored children after hours. In giving their time, their most precious resource, they discovered the true meaning of sacrifice and received far more than they gave. But the biggest surprise was yet to come, one that would test everything they'd learned about forgiveness and prove that every second chance contains within it the seed of yet another beginning. You know, the most beautiful stories never really end. They simply evolve into new beginnings. On Christmas Eve, as snow blanketed the city in silent beauty, Sarah received a visitor at her modest apartment. There stood Mr. Harrison, not in his usual tailored suit, but in simple clothes, holding two things that would symbolize their incredible journey together. The first was a photograph of the company's new community center being named in her honor. The second was a simple key, not to a building or an office, but to the small home his own grandmother had lived in, now empty and waiting for someone who understood that true wealth has nothing to do with money. This anonymous gift wasn't charity. It was an acknowledgement that her sacrifice had created ripples of hope far beyond what either could have imagined. Now, here's what I want you to take away from this. Your greatest leverage point for change isn't your job title or your bank account. It's your willingness to see the humanity in others, especially those you might normally overlook. This week, I challenge you to perform one act of radical visibility. Find someone who serves you quietly, the bus driver, the grocery clerk, the security guard, and learn their name. Then use it. Acknowledge them. See them. This simple act of kindness costs you nothing, but could be the unexpected help that reminds someone they matter. That's how we build community, one genuine connection at a time. As Sarah stood in the doorway of that little house weeks later, she realized this wasn't just about her anymore. Her second chance had become a platform for lifting others. She turned the home into a sanctuary for single parents facing financial struggle, a place where dignity was restored through practical support and genuine connection. The very family secret that started this journey, the CEO's hidden crisis, had blossomed into an open legacy of transparency and compassion. Children who might have gone hungry now had full bellies. Parents who felt the crushing weight of loneliness now had a community that understood, and everyone involved discovered that forgiveness isn't something we give others, it's something we gift ourselves. The snow continued to fall outside, each flake a silent witness to the transformation that occurs when we dare to see the invisible hands around us. Sarah's story of quiet courage became the foundation for something enduring, a living reminder that our greatest power lies not in what we accumulate, but in what we give away. And as the Christmas lights twinkled in the gathering darkness, a new storytelling tradition was born in that little house. One where every person who walked through the door added their own chapter to the ongoing saga of human connection. The circle had closed, yet somehow, the real journey was just beginning. So here's the million-dollar question. What invisible heroes have you been overlooking in your own life? What small act of courage have you been postponing because you thought you weren't important enough to make a difference? Let me tell you something straight. Your storytelling matters. Your willingness to see the unseen, to offer unexpected help, to choose forgiveness over pride, that's where real change begins. You don't need a title to restore someone's dignity. You don't need wealth to end someone's loneliness. All you need is the courage Sarah showed when she decided one person's sacrifice could become an entire community's salvation. Now I want you to ask yourself, where can I be someone's second chance this week? How can I turn my own financial struggle into fuel for compassion? What family secret have I been carrying that's ready to become someone else's breakthrough? If this story stirred something in you, if you believe that ordinary people really can create extraordinary change, then do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Why? Because we're just getting started uncovering these powerful, true stories of hope and transformation. Your own journey toward making a difference starts with one click, and I'll be right here to guide you every step of the way.